Hi, I'm Marty Nemko, and today we're going to talk a little bit about some hopefully not obvious solutions to dealing with stress. Some people are very lucky. They just seem to be stress impervious. Things roll off their back. This video is for the rest of us, including me, who by nature tends to get stressed, which hopefully makes me maybe a little better qualified to discuss what works rather than my wife, who never gets stressed. In any case, um, if you have a tendency to just get stressed about things, the best you can do rather than tactics is to try to structure your life as much as you can to have minimum stress. And so I will talk about myself a little here. Um, I need to be my own boss so that I have control. And because I'm a pleaser, if I had bosses, I'd be really worried all the time about pleasing my bosses. By working by myself mainly, I do see clients one-on-one, but that's enough, a controlled enough situation, and it's something I do naturally well, so I'm not stressed there. No bosses. I run things just the way I kind of want to. I work from home, so there's no commute. I like quiet, which is again de-stressing for me. I like having my doggie. Let me see if we can have a quick look. See, there's my doggie sleeping in a little bed right next to where I work. So I've structured my life to be as de-stressing as possible. Other structures, I try to leave as much time in between clients as I can, so I'm never feeling rushed externally. I rush by nature, it's just who I am. But by allowing a little extra time in between clients, sure, I'll make a little less money, but I do value being less stressful. So those are some things I do to structure my life. I also make sure that I get in between clients where I can, I get a little bit of exercise. I will, plant. So I just right before I came here right now to talk to you, I planted a rose bush. So I dug 2 feet deep and mixed in all this stuff and got on my knees and whatever. That's de-stressing. It's a break from the intellectual exercise that my life basically is. So that's the most important thing. Now I'm well aware that not everybody can be self-employed. Indeed, it's not so easy to be self-employed. But the message really is to see how you could structure your life so as to reduce stress. And for example, another example might be if you're working in a workplace um, and there's somebody who stresses you out. Of course, there are some coworkers or customers that you just have nothing, you have to deal with them. But sometimes you have more discretion. And rather than trying to fix the relationship after a little bit of effort, if you see it's not really going anywhere, sometimes the biggest stress buster is how can I minimize my interaction with this boss, with this coworker, with this customer. So that's how you could structure your life for low stress. Um, and I want to stress also the stress, pardon the pun, the commute thing. Um, at least in California, they have deemed it wise to force us out of our cars. So they build no new freeways. They have a great increase in population, but we're trying to cram more and more traffic into the few lanes, and mass transit is even worse. And that stresses me out. Much as I try these symptomatic things like always having an audio book I'm listening to in the car, it still stresses me out. So having working at home is a huge de-stressor because of the amount of time that I'm not spending in a car. Now I recognize again, if you're an employee, you can't do that, but maybe you can get to telecommute a day or two a week, which can be a real stress buster. Another core to reducing stress is that the work be moderate. Moderate in quantity, moderate in difficulty, um, moderate in the level of quality that's required. I imagine, for example, if you're a diamond cutter and if you make one little mistake, it costs thousands of dollars, that's got to be stressful. Um, so, and again, you may be stuck. You may feel you have no choice but to change your job or whatever, but to keep your job. But ask yourself, is the workload too much in quantity? Is the level of difficulty too great? Um, is the quality of what you have to produce so high that it just makes you too stressful? And then ask yourself, is there ways to change the level or quality of work that you have to do in your workplace? Or is it a sign that if you are getting too stressed out, do you need to move somewhere else and go to some other job? Um, the other thing, and this is hopefully the only cliche that I'm going to invoke here as a stress management tool. It is the Christians, I'm no Christian, I'm an atheist, a Jew by birth, atheist by practice. The serenity prayer, which is something like, God grant me the wisdom to know the difference between what I can and can't control. The Buddhists also talk about that, and to let go of what you can't control. It's hard to do, but I really try where possible to let go of the outcome. When I've done, let's say I'm sending an email, and right now there is one I've sent out and I'm a little worried about it. But I really do as much as I can. Once I've clicked send, and maybe reread it once in case I need to send an addendum to fix some little problem with it, I try to distract myself. As soon as I start to think about, worry about what could happen as a result of, in response to my email, and start catastrophizing, I really do say stop, and I try to distract myself. I do want to take a moment to talk about meditation. I know it's hot, but at least I used to meditate when I first came to Berkeley, no surprise. They all tried to get me to meditate, and I did. But I found that it was a nice nap. I was relaxed for the 5 or 10 minutes after I got up literally from meditating. I found I was back to my normal baseline. So I'm not convinced that meditation really is a real significant solution, certainly not one worth all the time to try to reduce your stress. But I'll end with one thing that I want to end on a positive note that I do find does reduce my stress. In addition to the big breaks, like I said, whether it be planting a rose for a half hour or so, I take micro breaks. I'll simply stop to breathe, take one deep breath, or 3 minutes to go and make myself a cup of coffee, or get on the floor and roll around the floor with my doggy Einstein, or to call my wife. Those little breaks are great because if you take long breaks, you end up increasing your stress because you're feeling guilty about what you should be doing. But these micro breaks are, really, there's no negative side effects associated with it. Anyway, those are my thoughts on how to reduce your stress, keep your stress under control, even if you're a stressful person by nature. These ideas derive, at least in part, from my new book, Careers for Dummies. And I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.